spent hiding this information, encrypting this information. Whereas this information, I'm not saying I believe this, but this is the argument, whereas open source information isn't really valuable because everybody can have it. Personally speaking, I don't necessarily believe that approach. I believe the best way to hide something is in the public, right? Just leave it right there for everybody to see. Because they're going to they're going to make precisely the same assumptions. Oh, well, if it's just public info, it can't be important. And it's the public info that is used to mobilize clandestine groups and so on, right? You just need to gain access to either how to interpret that public information, what the significance or meaning of that public information are, and you get all of that, and you get that intel primarily, I would argue, from human intelligence. So, again, the 5 different disciplines of intelligence: geospatial intel, human intel, signals intel, measurement and signature intel, open source intel. I've given examples of all of them except for measurement, and I apologize. I need to find examples, and what I'll do is I'll give a few examples in the PDF because I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. And I want to make sure that the examples I give are accurate. So, hopefully that's clear. Alright, and then lastly, what I noticed was in the research, though Keithley, I forgot his name, David Keithley, I think. Though Keithley didn't include this in his book chapter, though Keithley didn't include this in his book chapter, I found this throughout the Gov pages, so I wanted to incorporate it. The last is the Defense Intelligence Agency's central, obviously, measurement and signature intel, right? So the Defense Intelligence Agency central measurement and signature intel, and that office, and I'll tell you the function of the office. I'm not going to explain it more than just read it, right? The principal user of masked int, we'll just do that, data, measurement and statistical intelligence has become increasingly important due to growing concerns about the existence and spread of weapons of mass destruction. Oh, so maybe it's mass destruction. Okay, so I was sort of right with frequency. Masked int can be found, for example, by can be used, for example, to help identify chemical weapons or pinpoint the specific features of unknown weapon systems. Very advanced stuff. That's why I don't understand it. I wouldn't say I don't understand it, but yeah, it seems like it's used for, and I'll go more, so I guess I did have an example. So weapon systems technology. The FBI's extensive forensic work is a type of masked int. The FBI's laboratory chemobioscience unit, for example, provides analysis to detect, trace chemical, biological, and nuclear materials to support the prevention, investigation, and prosecution of terrorist activities, right? So it's the mechanisms in which scientists on, I guess, the intelligence community side are able to detect trace amounts of it looks like to be, I'm not sure if it's exclusively biochemical. I would imagine that you can have frequency non-biochemical stuff, but I'm not really sure. Again, I'll go through and I'll look more into masked int intelligence and try to give you some further examples. But here is an example, and there's an actual office. That's all they do. Okay. With that being said, after I clear my throat, I'm gonna get some water. Sorry. With that being said, that's going to conclude this section of the analysis. I will continue with section 2.2. We will address further the importance of the 5 different disciplines of intelligence. Now that we understand what they are, we're going to look more at the interaction between the intelligence disciplines and the stuff that I discussed in the previous series, right? The function of the fusion centers and the JTTF, along with local law enforcement, and if I remember, it was, I forget the abbreviation, SL, state, local, tribal, and territorial, I think. But we'll talk about that as well. So what I'm going to do is, in the next session, is to continue the discourse on the fundamentals of intelligence handling, and hopefully add more to the discourse. So with that being said, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. I want to thank you for watching my videos. Have a good day. Hi, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. In this video, I'm continuing my analysis of intelligence handling, and I'm going to extend the discussion from the previous section, which was 2.1, and in today's discussion, I'm going to begin with a description, as I said I would, of the ability to transform information into intelligence, right? What is the method in which we transform information into intelligence? There is a process in which this occurs, and I'm going to begin the discourse today with that process. So let's begin. So this is National NATI, National and out the Homeland and National Security. And this is section 2.2. And this is fundamentals of intelligence handling. Alright, fundamentals of intelligence handling. The first are 4 steps to transform information into intelligence, right? The 4 steps to transform information into intelligence. So 4 steps to transform info into intel, right? Remember on the CAD intel model, which was collection, analysis, and dissemination. What we have at one end is information, just raw information. That information is collected, that information is analyzed, that information is disseminated, and we have new information, right? New intelligence that is produced because, as a consequence of that information. What we're going to do is talk about the steps in which this occurs. So the first step is evaluation, right? And obviously it's an evaluation of the information, right? Of info. Right? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to evaluate the info. And this is, I provided from the links, this comes from the CIA.gov page, right? Quote, collected information is appraised as a contribution to a specific goal. Its credibility, its reliability, its relevance, its accuracy, and its usefulness, right? So, with respect to the evaluation of information, we recognize that there's a goal, right? There's a goal in mind. And the question is, how will this information help me arrive at my goal, right? So I need to evaluate the information and to see whether the facts within the information help me arrive at my goal, whether the reliability of the information will help me arrive at my goal, and so on, right? So the first thing, evaluation. Collected information is appraised as a contribution to a specific goal. Its credibility, reliability, relevance, accuracy, or its usefulness is obviously taken into account in an attempt to assess its relevance to that goal. So evaluation is the first phase. Next step is analysis of the information. And the quote is, quote, an attempt is made to determine the veracity of the facts, right? How important, how fixed, how necessary and sufficient are these facts to our assessment, right? An attempt is made to determine the veracity of the facts in the report and determining the relationship of the facts, right? So we're going to be looking at, within this information, we're going to be looking at the facts, right? We're going to be looking at the relationship between the facts. The relationship between the facts, not just any individual facts, but the collection of facts as a set of information, as a bit of information. All of this needs to, again, lead toward attaining this goal. Right? So that when we're analyzing information, the relationship between the facts is what's going to allow me to arrive at a conclusion, right? And we want to make sure that that goal is accurate. If the facts are tarnished, excuse me, if the facts are tarnished, or we don't have our facts accurate, or we don't have well-established facts, these facts might be conditional and they might be changing. If